Good Tuesday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to tonight's top stories, let's head outside, take a look outside our weather window on this cloudy and kind of dreary Tuesday all around north central Washington. Really didn't have to deal with a lot of wind, but it did get cooler today. In fact, we were almost 10 degrees or over 10 degrees cooler. And that means a cool day tomorrow with clear skies tomorrow night. We are going to see a hard freeze going into Thursday morning. In fact, some of you could see temperatures in the teens to low 20s. I think most of us will be between 20 and 30, but it is going to be cold. Following that, we have our first round of storminess Thursday late in the day into Friday morning, and that could bring us our first snow, especially into the mountain areas where you see that orange and red color. We could see up to a half foot to maybe 10 inches of snow going into Friday morning. And then before our bigger storm moves in, strong winds, and we'll see that on Friday, maybe into Saturday as well. Possible power outages, tree damage. Boy, one of those storms that could hit western Washington, and we will keep our eye on that throughout the rest of this week. More weather coming up a little bit later on. And now a few of the news stories we're following for you tonight. A trailer being pulled south on Highway 17 south of Ephrata by a Moses Lake man yesterday morning swerved into the oncoming lane and struck a vehicle being driven by a Quincy woman. 4 out of 6 defendants in a gang-related East Wenatchee shooting have now been sentenced after reaching plea agreements in Chelan County Superior Court. And the Wenatchee Valley Fire Department quickly knocked down an attic fire late this morning in a house under construction off Rock Island Road. But first, our top story tonight. 3 children and an adult were injured Sunday night when barrels on the Manson wine barrel train overturned. All 4 were transported to Lake Chelan Health Hospital in Chelan with undisclosed injuries. The accident happened about 6:20 p.m. at the corner of Tyke Street and Henry Gray Street when the 59-year-old driver of a UTV pulling the train made a turn and the 3 wine barrels in the rear of the train tipped over. Chelan County Sheriff Sergeant Rob Huddleston said the accident remains under investigation. A father born in 1990 and his son born in 2019 were injured in one barrel, and 2 young brothers, one born in 2019 and the other in 2013, were injured in another car. The wine barrel train is part of the Haunted Manson celebration that was ongoing throughout October. Well, a trailer being pulled south on Highway 17 south of Ephrata by a Moses Lake man yesterday morning swerved into the oncoming lane and struck a vehicle being driven by a Quincy woman. The Washington State Patrol said 53-year-old Deborah H. Kennedy suffered minor injuries when her 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee was struck by that trailer. 43-year-old Travis Hathaway, who was pulling the trailer with his 1999 Dodge Ram pickup, was not injured. The accident near Rocky Ford Creek fully blocked the highway for about an hour. The State Patrol said the trailer began oscillating prior to the wreck, causing Hathaway to lose control. No citations were issued. Well, 4 out of 6 defendants in a gang-related East Wenatchee shooting have now been sentenced after reaching plea agreements in Douglas County Superior Court. 37-year-old Armando Valdez Godina was the latest to plead last week to counts of criminal gang intimidation and conspiracy to commit third-degree assault for his part in the 2021 shooting near City Hall, which left 1 man wounded. Valdez was one of 6 people charged in the shooting. 26-year-old Jorge Reyes is already serving 3.5 years in prison for second-degree assault, and 29-year-old Juan Artur Balones was sentenced last week to nearly 10 months for conspiracy to assault. Justino Omar Brito is serving almost 29 months after pleading earlier last month to second-degree robbery, intimidation, and rendering criminal assistance. 2 more suspects still face possible trial dates. The Wenatchee Valley Fire Department quickly knocked down an attic fire late this morning in a house under construction off Rock Island Road. The fire broke out about 11:30 at the house on Southeast Marlette Road. That's part of the 100-home Sagebrook development now being built near East Wenatchee. No one was injured, and crews brought it under control less than an hour after the initial call. The fire agency says the cause of the blaze is under investigation. Well, when we come back, the September 2022 local unemployment rate of 3.3% was the lowest rate for the month of September since 1990. A major Leavenworth landowner is pledged to turn over 31 rental units to charity to keep those apartments affordable as local rents continue to rise. And the Wenatchee Valley's largest hospital and clinic system has put a freeze on most hiring that doesn't deal directly with patients. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
I'm Kim Schreier, and I approve this message.
Over 500,000 veterans call Washington State home, and many depend on the VA for their health care. But Matt Larkin told voters he wants to defund the VA completely. And if Larkin gets his way, that means veterans' hospitals would close down. Vets would be forced to pay more for prescriptions, and millions would lose the benefits they've earned. Matt Larkin, reckless, dangerous, totally out of touch.
A judge should treat everyone with respect, dignity, and humanity. A judge should hear people out, ensuring that everyone gets their fair day in court. A judge should approach each case individually and decide what is just under the law. There is a time for punishment, but also a time for compassion. This is the kind of judge I will be. This fall, vote John Volan for Chelan County District Court Judge.
Paid for by the committee to elect John Volan for District Court Judge.
Hey there. I wanted to let you know I'm choosing Ann Hesberg for Chelan County Commissioner, and why. Now, you may have noticed Ann's running as an independent. That's because she is, in the best sense of the word. Ann thinks deeply about issues and looks at tough subjects from all sides. She asks questions, looking to add light to an issue, not just heat. And Ann really, truly listens. She cares. Ann has my vote because her voice represents all of ours.
Paid for by the committee to elect Ann Hesberg.
Welcome back. In another news, good news from the State Employment Security Department. The September 2022 local unemployment rate of 3.3% was the lowest rate for the month of September in the Wenatchee area since county-level data began to be recorded electronically going back to 1990. The number of unemployed residents in the Wenatchee MSA fell by 578. That's 20.2% between the Septembers of 2021 and 2022. These are indicators that people who are actively seeking employment are generally connecting with employers. The Wenatchee MSA's labor force retrenched from June through September of 2022 compared with June through September of 2021. Meanwhile, total non-farm employment increased from 46,800 in September of last year to 48,100 jobs in September of this year, a 1,300 job and 2.8% increase. A major Leavenworth landowner has pledged to turn over 31 rental units to charity to keep those apartments affordable as local rents continue to rise. The Marson family, founders of Marson & Marson Hardware, announced last month it will sell its rental holdings to Upper Valley Mend for continued use as affordable housing. The Marsons have maintained lower than average rents on those units since purchasing them starting almost 50 years ago. Mend director Kaylin Bettinger says her agency has acquired $310,000 from Chelan County to begin the process of buying them and will launch a capital campaign in 2023 to secure the rest of the funds. Upper Valley Mend has already helped build and turn over 20 Leavenworth homes to 20 low and moderate income owners. Well, the Wenatchee Valley's largest hospital and clinic system has put a freeze on most hiring that doesn't deal directly with patients. Confluence Health says it's facing a $13 million loss and working to shore up its finances. The decision follows an earlier move to reduce the number of beds for patients receiving less than intensive care. Confluence says the freeze on non-clinical hiring is temporary and there are no plans for layoffs or job eliminations. The hospital system is still actively recruiting nurses and medical assistants. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's feature story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Please stay with us.
Mary Maids of Wenatchee believes a clean home is a happy home. Mary Maids provides holiday cleaning services to cheer about. Don't let the seasonal cleaning ruin the festive fun. Mary Maids can simplify your life at a great value. It's never too soon to start planning a holiday-perfect home. Mary Maids of Wenatchee happily offers a worry-free guarantee. Locally owned and operated, let Mary Maids do the cleaning while you focus on your family and friends. Call Mary Maids today.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
Winter is a great time to trade in your current hot tub. Turn your old hot tub into money with Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa's trade-in program. You can save $500 to $1,000 off of any new artesian spa or take advantage of a free Bluetooth music experience. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa recommends draining your hot tub every 3 months. Ask us about our drain and refill special. Stop on by Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa today.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. Aurora Flores and Carnan Berggren are competing for an open seat on the Chelan County PUD Commission in the November 8th election. The District 3 seat is currently held by Ann Congdon, who is not seeking re-election. Berggren is a former PUD commissioner seeking to return to the board, while Flores is a 22-year member of the Manson School Board. In tonight's feature story, I sat down with both candidates, and today we'll feature Flores and tomorrow put the spotlight on Berggren.
You know, one of the things I like to really continue working on is, you know, they do apprenticeships. And one of the things I asked when we had a candidate orientation was, do we, communicate? I said, I'm going to put my school board hat on and my counselor hat on, because I'm a school counselor. And I said, how are we encouraging our kids to, to apply and get on these apprenticeships? Do we encourage them? Do we present to them? And then, of course, the learning centers. I think those are amazing. When I started on this journey, I didn't realize all the tentacles that the PUD had involved in the parks, in learning centers. I mean, it's just been an amazing learning experience for me. And I think those are some of the ways that I would incorporate that experience into the PUD. Plus, as a board member, you have to, be aware of your budget. And I was an auditor for 21 years. And so I know a little bit about the budgets. And so I would be, wise, as far as how we spend our dollars.
Is there a particular issue that really gets you and makes you and drives you and encourages you to do this? Is it the fiber build out? Is it the education part? Is there something overriding issue that you really feel strongly about?
Well, if it would be one, it would be the fact that I am really passionate about making sure that we continue to provide sustainable, low-cost energy to our owners. And the concern about, are we, I want to tell a story. I was recently at a function and I had to be there, and my son called and said, could you watch the grandkids today? And I said, yeah, as long as you let them go with me to this function. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh yeah, absolutely. So they had booths up, and the kids were just going around. They would get free stuff. They'd play games. They'd get free stuff, and they were getting, the bag was getting fuller and fuller. And anyway, my grandson, who's 7 years old, he came to me and he says, "Now, tell me again, why are we doing this?" Right? So I said, well, and I thought, oh, here's a teaching moment. I'm going to tell him that this is important because I want to make sure that he has power for the future.
Sure. Those
kinds of things. And he looked at his sister, Ava, and he said, let's go get some more free stuff. So my teaching moment went out the window, I think. But really, that's really what drives me, is the fact that we need to care about our resources to be able to make sure that our future generations have them.
Let's take a check of your North Central Washington weather forecast, and I hope you had a great Tuesday. It was one of those gloomy, kind of cloudy fall days all around North Central Washington. Almost looked like snow, didn't it, earlier this morning with those kind of lighter colored gray skies, but just calm out there today. It was cooler, no doubt about that. 48 degrees our high temperature at the airport today. 61 yesterday, so that's quite a bit cooler. 51 is our normal high, and our record is 64, set in 1997. We started off the day at 45 and climbed 3 degrees throughout the afternoon. 35 is our normal low, and 15 is our record. It was a cold one in 2002. Sunrise 7:45, and the sun sets at 5:43. Taking a look at what we can expect for Wednesday, a lot like today, maybe a little bit more sunshine tomorrow, but as far as temperatures go, about the same as today. 48 for Moses Lake, Ephrata, Quincy, here in Wenatchee, also into Eniat, Ellensburg at 47 tomorrow. Kashmir, you will also see 47, and the same goes for Chelan and up into Omak. So we're going to stay a little bit below normal as we get into the end of the week. Tonight, turning partly cloudy after all these clouds move through. This is the system that did move through, and it's pulling those clouds away. We'll see cool temperatures tonight as we continue to see that northerly flow of air move our way. For tomorrow, we mentioned it, partly cloudy skies, so I think a little bit more sunshine tomorrow. And this weather model actually showing a little bit of shower activity. We'll have to keep our eye on the sky in the afternoon. High temperatures in the upper 40s. For Thursday, mostly cloudy during the day. And then look out, this next storm system moves in, and in the afternoon it'll be right at the Wenatchee doorstep, and then it will move through the Wenatchee area through Thursday evening. We're talking rain mixed with snow. You might see a little bit of that white stuff. For Friday, that system really moves across southern Canada, bringing lots of wind. And I'll tell you what, folks, all of that heavy rainfall, and we can see that right here at home on Friday. High temperatures for Friday near 50 degrees with a southwesterly flow for a day. And then Saturday, things change once again. We'll see partly cloudy skies, kind of an in-between weather day for Saturday, cooler with highs in the mid-40s. And here's our next storm, and look at the size of this one as it continues its path southeast. It'll bring rain and snow likely throughout the day on Sunday. We could see the white stuff flying throughout the day in the afternoon on Sunday. High temperatures near only about 40 degrees. And then for Monday, we're going to stay in the mostly cloudy side as this system stays right there. A rain-snow mix, about a 40% chance of that. And we're going to cool down even more on Monday with highs by then. Look at all the blue into the upper 30s. And this is our snowfall projection as we get into Monday. Here we are right here. All of this color, that is 10 to 20 inches of snow back in the Rockies. For Wenatchee, I'm thinking about 2 to 3 inches as we get into the first part of next week. Let's take a look now at that 7-day forecast. 33 overnight tonight. It's going to get a lot chillier. 48 tomorrow. Hard freeze overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning. 40% chance for rain and snow Thursday. Friday will be our nastiest day. We're going to see wind. Rain is likely. Partly cloudy. A few showers Saturday. Rain and snow probably in the afternoon for Sunday. Monday, mostly cloudy with rain and snow. High then only at 38 degrees. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Granstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
The newest generation of GMC Sierra pickups offer the most advanced technology, the strongest selection of powertrain, and everything else you need to work hard, play hard, and explore the boundaries of the Wenatchee Valley and beyond. Take a look at the latest, most luxurious and durable trucks on the market.
You will see why GMC is not your grandfather's pickup.
You want to bet, kid?
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
And a happy Tuesday to you. Sunday's win over the Giants was Pete Carroll's 168th NFL head coaching victory. That tied him with his longtime mentor and Hall of Fame coach, Bud Grant. Now, after Sunday's win, Carroll spoke with Grant briefly on the phone, saying he couldn't believe he'd reached such a milestone. On Monday, Carroll told the story about he was hired by Grant as a defensive backs coach for the Vikings after being fired by Buffalo in 1985. He said he just happened to be on the phone at Chicago's airport while trying to fly an interview for coaching jobs on the West Coast.
I called the office and I said, "Can I talk to Andy?" And the secretary says, "Well, he's not here right now." And I said, "Well, would you give him a message that Pete Carroll called, because he was my connection to see if because there was one secondary job going on in Minnesota at the Vikes. It was all the jobs were all closed. It was like past late, it was in March almost by the time. So the secretary says, I said, "This is Pete Carroll. Would you let him know that I called?" And she said, "Pete Carroll." She said, "Well, Coach Grant is talking to your wife on the other line." I said, "What?" And so the next thing I heard, click, and they, "Hello, Pete?" "Yeah." And they said, "This is Bud Grant." And I'm thinking, holy shit, "Hi, Coach." I haven't talked to him and I'd never ever heard from him ever. And so he said, "Well, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm getting on a flight. I'm going to the West Coast. I get an interview at Stanford and Cal." He said, "Well, don't get on that flight." Well, I got to go. They're closing the doors right now. He says, "Pete," I said, "don't get on that flight. Get the next flight to Minneapolis." And I said, "Okay." And I hang up. That was it. I didn't know anything. And so I said, "Close the door. I can't get on the flight." And I run down through the airport, and I get hooked up, and I get a flight. And then I call Glenna and find out, "What's going on?" She said, "Well, Coach Grant was just called, and he was trying to talk to you, and I think he wants to talk to you about it." I said, "Well," anyway, so I didn't know anything. So I called back to the office, and I finally hooked up and got some information, and they told me to, I told them the flight I'm coming on, so that was it. I didn't know anything. And so that night, I wind up in Minneapolis. Instead, I didn't even call the guys in Stanford or Cal. I didn't even talk to them. I didn't know what to do. And so the next morning, I'm interviewing with Bud Grant, and we're walking around the facility, and that was the start of all that thing. Well, later I find out that, if this is all right, later I find out that in the morning that I was supposed to hear from Lou, Sid Hartman had been with Lou, sitting in his office. Sid was you guys all know who he is. And he had told Lou that, or they had talked a little bit, and he said, "Yeah, I'm talking to Pete Carroll this afternoon," or whatever. And Sid tells him that, well, Bud Grant is interested in the same guy. He didn't know who I was. And so Lou said, "Well, if Bud's interested in him, I'm not going to have a chance to get him." So I never hear from him again, right? So that's how that happened. So somehow that connection made all that take place. And had I not called at exactly that time, I'd have been on that flight. I may have never even, I don't know what would have happened. So it was a great story. And then obviously Bud, offered me the job and felt sorry for me or whatever, and gave me a chance to get back. So that's how that happened. So.
134 of Carroll's 168 wins have come with the Seahawks. Seattle will try to earn him 169 this Sunday as the Hawks travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Seattle Kraken begin a 3-game road trip in Calgary tonight against the Flames. Seattle's coming off a 3-1 win over Pittsburgh Saturday, and Coach Dave Haxtell says he feels pretty pleased with the play of his club as they prepare to hit the road.
A little bit of a break yesterday with the day off, coming out of a real busy stretch, and now heading back into a busy week this week. But really just turn the page. There's a lot of good coming out of the Pittsburgh game. There's also a lot of things that we can take from that game and look at it and say, hey, we got to be a little bit better in these areas. So just a matter of those were important points, but now just moving forward and continuing to work to get better and concentrate on the next game tomorrow.
Seattle and Calgary dropped the puck at 6 o'clock. That's on Root Sports Northwest. Well, they'll try again for Game 3 of the World Series tonight in Philadelphia. Rain foiled the game last night, so the Phillies and Astros trying again. That's on Fox. That means Game 4 tomorrow, Game 5 Thursday. If the series goes to the weekend, Game 6 would be Saturday back in Houston rather than on Friday as previously scheduled. Well, we'll have playoff soccer tonight here on the NCWLIFE channel. Eastmont will host Davis in a Big 9 district play-in game at Wildcat Stadium. Wildcats and Pirates just met on Saturday in Yakima. Eastmont coming out on top in that one, 4-0. Sebastian Braga and Matt Wiesen have the play-by-play. It's live on Facebook at 6 o'clock, here on TV at 7. The other district playing games for the Big 9 has Moses Lake at Eisenhower. That's also at 6. District 6 1A tournament shifting to Cascade High School tonight for the Kodiaks and Quincy Jackrabbits. A loser-out game with a winner advancing to the crossover round. It's also a busy night on the volleyball courts with the playoffs ramping up in the Big 9 district play-in matches tonight. Eastmont's on the road at Moses Lake at 6 while Davis is hosting Eisenhower. District 6 2B tournament gets underway with Liberty Bell visiting Brewster at 6 while Lake Roosevelt hosts Tonasket. Okanagan and Manson waiting in the wings for the winners of these games tonight. Aniat is the site for the District 6 1B tournament. Waterville-Mansfield taking on Moses Lake Christian first. Then Aniat faces Wilson Creek in the other semifinal. Well, Eastmont's preparing to face Richland Friday at Wildcat Stadium for a chance to reach the state tournament in football. We'll have that game live here on the NCWLIFE channel beginning with our pregame at 6:30. Richland has amassed a 5-4 record this season playing in the Mid-Columbia League. Other than a trip to Walla Walla in mid-October, this will be the only game the Bombers have played outside the Tri-Cities. Richland's coming off a home loss to Mountain View, 45-44. Eastmont, of course, fresh off their miraculous win over Moses Lake, 37-35. Grant and I will have your action Friday night here on the NCWLIFE channel. Speaking of Grant, that's sports news. Grant, back to you.
Thanks a bunch, Eric. And finally tonight, it's always nice to see kids out in their Halloween costumes, but it's probably extra nice for first responders when kids show up dressed as them. Here are just a few examples of that from yesterday. Looking good, kids. And now let's check in with Dan Kuntz for a look at what's coming up tomorrow morning on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan?
Thanks, Grant. On the next edition of my program, Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, you know this guy, Russ Waterman, the athletic director for the Eastmont School District. If the bond passes on November 8th, we're looking at maybe some pretty nice upgrades to a facility that quite frankly needs it.
We've got the old house on the block. We need to get some upgrades in here. Nothing over the top, but something that's going to be able to, our community can be proud of and our kids can compete on with a safe environment.
Eastmont athletic program is going great guns, and if that bond passes on November 8th, they can get a facility that reflects that. Russ will be my guest on the next edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Go Cats!
Go Cats!
Grant, back to you.
Dan and Russ, thank you very much. And that'll do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for being with us and have a great night. News, weather, and sports. It's all here weekdays at 5, 6, and 10 on your local news source, the NCW Life channel.